going up against a revamped ggLA roster for at least the time being on the red side of this one, and more importantly, Otter and Full Belter on the red side, going up against, well, probably my duo of favorite names in the North American League of Legends scene in Cheese Beluga and Porpoise Pops on vVv's side.
Oh man, I love everything about this game. Everything, like Otter and Bunny Fufu as a lane, like Got You and Tails doesn't mean as much, but like the fact that there's a guy in this game named Porpoise Pop. This will be fun. They're playing a very kind of an oddball composition. It's very, very different, and I'm looking forward to seeing this face of vVv. This could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and actually we see vVv all grouped up together there, a force of 5 to be reckoned with. The line of scrimmage has been set by ggLA, but Otter's not going to want to try to go for the quarterback in this one, as vVv charge headfirst into the blue buff area. Boomerang Blade connects, deals a little bit of damage, and almost reactively both wards go out from either side. A little bit of harass, mainly vision gain here by the side of vVv.
Yeah, and they will be able to get that ward down in the blue buff area. We'll see if ggLA try to go for some sort of counter ward area on the opposing blue buff so they can kind of similarly keep track of the other jungler. Because right now, they don't have any deep wards in the area. They will not be able to keep track of Nautilus. And while Nautilus's early clear is relatively slow, his ganks are devastating enough with as much early CC as he gets that you do need to keep track of him. Because if he suddenly shows up behind you, that's a summoner that I hope you didn't like too much because it's gone and you're not getting it back for the next probably 5 minutes. Yeah, that's the way that the shockwave works is that when you cast it, the shockwave is cast where the ball is in that moment. Like if the ball is command protected, like okay, you can't cast it while you're command attacking. Like you can't use it mid command attack, although that would be pretty sweet. Like drive by command shockwaving as the ball just like cruises through. But if it's on a target like a Nocturne, and the Nocturne's ulting into the middle of the team, and you pop it a little bit early, it doesn't wait until Nocturne gets there. It's wherever the ball is at that moment. And because of that, they had so many premature shockwaves that just ended up catching nothing as Nocturne was like mid-air on his way towards his target.
Oh man, those premature shockwaves, they're pretty sure they said it's never happened before. It's the first time it ever wound up happening to them. But we'll see if they wind up having the synergy down a little bit more this time around, as both junglers going to be starting at their respective blue buffs, although it is going to be the side of vVv that knows where Jarvan is going to be a little bit earlier on in this lane. Standard lane matches right here. The duo lanes are in the bottom, solo laners in the top and mid lane, and I'm really interested about this Renekton versus Kha'Zix matchup because I kind of use Kha'Zix has so much all-in potential at levels 2 and 3, but Renekton is not an easy character to kill even early on in the game.
No, Renekton has so much early bully potential and the early sustain as well. Kha'Zix is a champion that people have been picking up of late against champions that need time to scale up. But given the fact that Renekton is basically ready to go right out of the gate, this is going to be interesting to see exactly how he plays this one out.
Well, both of these guys have hit level 2, pretty much same levelization all across the map for each team right now, and pretty much just a safe standard start. The junglers have gone for their own buffs, and now that's about the 3-minute and about 10-second mark is normally when you're going to see junglers first show up to lanes, but it's going to be a little bit delayed actually. Sika Scott winds up going through the jungle and actually thinks about recalling, whereas Nautilus stops off to grab some of those smaller camps, because like you said, Valfus, Nautilus in the early game doesn't clear as fast as possible, but with that blue buff available, he's going to want to try to kill as many things as possible. Whereas Sika Scott, he set his eyes on champions to kill, gets snuggled and actually uses the flash extremely early. The slice winds up hitting nothing, so there's no dice available. Flash forward from iKenny with the Ignite taking down stun and tower range though. Flash forward from Sika Scott secures the first blood, and iKenny drops dangerously low, but he barely lizzled a sliver of health.
They just barely get him out of that one. They have to watch out for Porpoise Pop, so Nautilus is trying to trundle his way back up here. This is so slow. He just kind of ambles into the brush. He's hoping that iKenny and Sicko Scott will get too greedy and go for the next one. He's gonna get the hook down.
Oh, Porpoise Pot's hooks on Sika Scott, but there's 2 members here for the side of ggLA, and they force yet another flash away from the side of vVv. Pubelter, in the meantime, in the Gragas versus Orianna matchup, actually takes a brunt of pain here as he charges down into Cheese Beluga, but actually turns it around as soon as the body slam's available. Flash has been burned once again for the side of vVv, so 3 flashes down at the 4-minute mark right here, and ggLA are looking like they're the ones burning summoners and not that jungle Nautilus.
Absolutely. This is pretty terrifying right now. I mean, they have so many open gank opportunities right now across the lanes for Sicko Scott. Like, Orianna versus Gragas is a lane matchup that you win up until you lose it, right? Because you use that range auto attack harass, and I'm Pubelter getting ganked by Porpoise Pops.
Yeah, he actually body slams into Nautilus. There's the Dreads line, has to force a flash away. It's one of the first ones from the side of ggLA. I keep wanting to say Infinite Odds because this is oddly similar to an old Infinite Odds roster with Pobelter, Otter, Sicko Scott, even an ICanEU. Buddy Fufu's pretty much the only replacement here in that kind of lineup, so if I wind up stuttering my words a little bit, it's kind of why, guys. Sorry about that one. But flashes have been burned in a multitude of ganks, but there haven't really been any kills thus far. The junglers just kind of trekking through their own respective areas and getting some farm up, but Porpoise Pop might be the first one to turn something around up here. Get Snuggle actually goes down to ICanEU because Porpoise Pop's just waddled a little bit too slow into that top lane, whereas in the bottom side of the map here, Bunny Fufu winds up getting stunned up as aggression turns onto Tails. It's already been 1-for-1 across the map here. Otter isn't going to make it 2-for-2 though. Takes a boomerang blade to the face, has to bop away for the time being. The polymorph goes down from that Whimsy. Ignites go down. Tails getting dropped down extremely low, as is Bunny Fufu. Flash away, but Bunny Fufu dies and Tails stays alive. Otter trying to throw out this flame choppers, forces the flash away from Gachu. Flashes forward, does pick up a kill with that switcheroo into the rocket form, and it's a 1-for-1 trade again, 2-for-2 all over the map.
And then that Jinx passive getting Otter back out of that one as well. He gets excited, runs away from the tower, only takes up the one tower shot. Very, very brave play coming out there from Otter. But yet, more flashes burned. I'm taking a look, and yep, all 10 flashes are down right now. Ain't nobody got a flash left on this map right now. Nope.
So all the flashes are down, which means these ganks that have already been pretty deadly, as we have 5 kills at the 6-minute mark on this map here, Malphite, could potentially be even more lethal. More importantly, this matchup between Renekton and Kha'Zix is going in Kha'Zix's favor. He has a slight experience advantage, currently level 5 compared to the 4 of Renekton, and on top of that, he has a lot of, not a lot of farm over Renekton. Renekton has a farm. Otter, getting caught a little bit right here, is going to wind up giving a kill over to Porpoise Pops, and unfortunately, Otter was kind of swimming in a stream that he shouldn't have been there right there. ICanEU and Get Snuggle continuing to trade damage back and forth amongst each other. Both of them drop down extremely low and having to pop those health potions as it continues to be a bloodbath across Summoner's Rift in this game.
That was, yeah, I mean, it was nicely played by Otter at the end of that one, as Pobelter now going to try to go in on the Cheese Beluga. Look at the burst, but here's the ult!
Ooh, the ultimate goes off there from Nautilus as well as Cheese Beluga with the command Shockwave. That time the synergy was on point, and Cheese Beluga picks up a kill for himself. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Snuggle has to get the heck out of there as Sicko Scott comes around from the backside as he and ICanEU apply a lot of pressure onto that top lane. But at the same exact time, vVv is going to respond. Your jungler's away in top lane. Dragon is free for us.
Absolutely, and they do need to take this one down as quickly as they can. Tail's going to show up in the area as well. It doesn't look like there's going to be anyone around to try to contest this one. As another pause gold to someone else, and then 150 gold for the assist to someone else. But Sicko Scott has gotten all of his stuff back up to snuff, and the game has resumed.
And after all that speculation, Dragon goes over to vV without too much of a fight. We do have a Whimsy going down in a Porpoise Toss, and actually the Flame Choppers grab God Shoot. Sicko Scott is right here. There's the Dazzle coming out. The On the Hunt is popped for some disengage capabilities here from vVv. And after a long drawn out talk about if Sicko Scott was going to get there in time, well, he doesn't, and it's a Dragon for vVv.
Very, very nicely played those to grab that up for themselves. It's a 1,000 gold advantage thus far at the 8-minute mark. That's a relatively early Dragon play, but they knew that they had the opportunity. As we mentioned before, they saw jungle pressure up in the top lane. They knew that they had time to get there and burn it down before Sicko Scott can make that run across the map. Even with the boots of mobility and even being Jarvan, he wasn't able to get there in time. So very, very nice play there from vVv.
Well, now we'll have to see where they transition from this one, because they've gotten that objective on the map in Dragon, but they don't necessarily have the same kind of tower pressure capabilities that they did the last time they ran this competition, when they had a Nocturne as the jungler, and they had a little bit of a different kind of pushing top laner in Lissandra. And now that that top laner is slightly behind in his 1v1 matchup, as ICanEU and Get Snuggle pop up on our screen once again in this top lane matchup, where does vVv go with this one? Because they've taken the Dragon, and those towers on the bottom and mid side might not be the easiest to take away from a Jinx Lulu combination that we saw already be able to catch people out of position and punish them for it, and a Gragas who can just shove those waves and clear. It's up to them to try to move around the map, and they might actually decide that it's time to go for picks, like we said. A lot of crowd control coming out of their top laner and their jungler, and the capabilities of that Sivir and the roaming Taric that we've seen out of them before could be a potential right here. But right now, it's just a little bit of a lull between these two teams, as they decided farming is a good way to kind of get your score up.
And Pobelter is I'm really impressed. It's not easy to outfarm an Orianna on pretty much any champion. He's been having a really good time of it with this Gragas.
He's actually got 67 CS compared to the 58 currently for the side of Cheese Beluga, maintaining about a 10 CS advantage in that one lane matchup. Although Orianna has gone back one extra time to pick up a Chalice of Harmony and boots on top of the double Doran's rings that both of the characters currently have, whereas Gragas only has that Null Magic Mantle portion of his own Chalice of Harmony. Bottom lane, we can see the farm going slightly in favor of vVv Gaming side, as Otter and Bunny Fufu are just being a little bit afraid backing up towards their tower, but it could be a bait as you see Sicko Scott down towards the bottom portion of the map. Now these trades in the top lane going more and more in favor of iKennyU, as you see Renekton getting shoved back under his tower, and the CS advantage has definitely dipped in favor of Kha'Zix. It's 54 compared to 40. Now Jarvie gets a flag and drag over the wall, just decides to catacomb him straight on top of Tails. Flame Choppers go down, but On the Hunt gets popped as in comes Porpoise Pops. Out goes the ultimate coming out, knocks up Jarvie, but he flashes away from that one. Sicko Scott with a low health bar is going to survive for the time being, but right now there's 3 members strong from vVv against 3 not so strong and healthy members from the side of ggLA in the bottom lane.
And that's going to allow them the opportunity to continue applying pressure to the tower and try to deny some farm here. But yeah, I mean, the lane that I'm kind of focused on right now is definitely this top lane. We expressed our concern about iKennyU's ability to dominate through the early game. He got ganked pretty hard. There was a lot of pressure going down there, and you know, we see he's still having a really good time of it. W giving him just enough sustain. He evolved the Q first. I'm Pole Belter now in a lot of trouble here as he uses the barrel, but no, nice flash!
Ooh, flashes away from the command shockwave actually right there. Now Sicko Scott comes in here trying to turn something around on the Cheese Beluga. He drops down extremely low, as does Sicko Scott. Porpoise Pop just utilizing his ability to crowd control and slow them out with that Riptide to get them out of there. Bottom lane, Gonchu actually goes down to Otter as action all across the map comes out. The switcheroo goes down and back over to the top area of the map where iKennyU has joined the fray with Get Snuggled. Low health bars on the side of ggLA. A flash away from iKennyU means that vVv win the fight in the top side of the jungle, but they lose their support in the bottom, which is actually a 1-0 for ggLA.
Man, it's like because everyone's using their flashes all at the same time, they all come back up at the same time, and then everyone's willing to burn them again right away, hoping that they had the opportunity and hoping that they had the advantage to get something down on there. I mean, the flash that I commented on was Porpoise Pops flashing in front of Pobelter so he couldn't escape with the body slam, trying to set up that command shockwave from Cheese Beluga. Because he burned his flash, he was able to force Pobelter to use his flash, so they basically end up trading mobility between those two champions. Then Sicko Scott shows up, and he's able to force Cheese Beluga back out. Tails, that spell shield on the zap is actually going to save his life, as it keeps him, or save his flash, I should say, as it keeps him from getting slowed down enough for those flame choppers to actually land.
Yeah, and like we talked about, just the amount of utility that Jinx can put out in a certain lane match, or even for just a team, lets her catch people out like that and would have been able to just chain the CC and capitalize. Don't forget, there's also a Whimsy coming out from Lulu, so even if the flash was available for Tails, he might have still been a dead man in that situation. Speaking of dead man, Get Snuggles and iKennyU traded back and forth, and Kenny just blows up Renekton at low HP, whereas now we have the ultimate coming out onto Sicko Scott. The explosive cast goes out, the Ignite is ticking away, flash forward from Cheese Beluga that he saved from that fight before, is going to be the one to pick up the kill right there. So it's 1-for-1 across the map, and now we have Porpoise Foss just hooking Pobelter back in, applying a bit of damage. There's a dissonance speed up actually. Command Shockwave is available, but the body slam away from Pobelter is going to keep him alive in that situation, and it stays at 1-for-1 as Super Mega Death Rocket goes out, but wide and to the left, no good. Cheese Beluga stays alive.
Meanwhile, Tails and Gonchu down in the bottom lane, going to shove this one back out. And they do claim themselves a tower. That's the first tower of the game, so that's going to be a little bit of an advantage for vVv's. Gonchu's coming back forward. They've got Porpoise Pops.
Oh man, Porpoise Pops comes in, and Little Bunny Fufu has to flash through the forest, puts the ultimate onto himself, but is it going to be enough? Don't think it is. His HP bar is very, very low. The health pick shield comes out. Otter's just in the back wailing away with fish bones on the enemy team. Tails does finally pick up the kill on Bunny Fufu, and Otter's in a 1v3 situation, but he's got the cavalry coming in, and vVv decide that after picking up Little Bunny Fufu, it's enough to just back away.
Dude's barely get that one down. Tails able to land that one with Blade and get himself that one. And, I mean, nice part, Bunny Fufu was almost able to stall out enough time. Belter and Sicko Scott to get into the Belter wouldn't have had these cast, but Sicko Scott did have the chemicals available. And, you know, this is pretty much the only person was involved with that chase and flash ups. That could have gone very sideways there. As speaking of going sideways, iKennyU is kind of dominating. Gets now Dominus gets popped, and iKenny just jumps away
Yeah, and actually a flash forward and the stun underneath tower gets Snuggle, gets a kill right there. Picks one up for himself, and after Kha'Zix seem to be dominating that matchup here, now it's Renekton that turns around and picks up a kill under the enemy tower. With the top laner dead, and with a potential 4v4 situation on their hands, vVv feel like with the Dragon timer on their side, they're going to be set to contest this one. Sick of Scott was actually making his way towards the top lane, so he's not even going to be here for this fight. The Dragon burns down quick enough, they have to be afraid of Gragas! Hellbelter steals it away with a double barrel combination, and that's going to be vVv shaking their heads as the smite was not there and they weren't able to secure the one for themselves.
Sometimes you just get too desperate for a dragon. Sometimes you just say, okay, we need to take this one down right now. We have a window of opportunity. We can do this. I know we don't have smite, but it's fine. I'm confident we can take this one down. And they were too optimistic. That they did not account for the fact that Hellbelter is going to be able to outdamage their team if they don't have a smite available. And there's going to come a moment where he can outdamage their team even if they have a smite. Get Snuggled is now he's potentially the one getting too greedy.
Yeah, he's actually stayed a very long time. Dominus is not available. IKenyu coming in here. Sicko Scott just puts down a opposite flag and drag combo just to gain an assist off of that one. And IKenyu picks up his third kill of the game on his enemy top laner.
And that's you always have to be careful for something like that. We've seen kills just traded back and forth in that top lane as people are, I mean, I'm not sure at that time it seemed that he didn't respect the respawn timer, but we saw, IKenyu didn't necessarily respect the damage that Get Snuggle was capable of as he just flashed forward there, was able to get the stun down and burst him down. Now, he sticks around too long. Bunny Fufu getting died!
Oh, Bunny Fufu has to pop his own wild growth on himself again. A flash in with a body slam from Hellbelter, knocks Chief Beluga against the wall. Sicko Scott comes in, picks up a kill for himself. It's a 1-for-1 trade right now, and it's a 2v2 situation, but no ultimate available for Gragas in this situation. No ultimate available for Tails or Gotchu, though. They are going to wind up backing away from the tower for the time being, but now Porpoise Pops has joined the fray in the mid lane. The same exact time, Otters have been doing his own little ottery thing on the bottom side of the map, takes down the outer tower there from the side of vVv, and it's 1-for-1 in towers. The gold count's only 100 apart in favor of vVv. That's going to be evened up and even accelerated in ggLA's favor as they lose Sicko Scott in the mid lane, but they gain a tower in the top lane as IKenyu pushes that one down. Now Pobot getting dove under the tower here. Porpoise Pops taking it up as much as he can. Double kill for Tails. Is it going to be, the flash and the barrier barely saves Tails in that situation, but Pobelter stays alive long enough to get a kill for himself.
They did so much tower aggro management, right? Gotchu just stood there and just tanked the tower for a while as long as he could. Then finally he had to clear the aggro. He was going to die. Porpoise Pops is one they went on to, and then ended up picking Tails. So because the tower aggro onto Tails, he ended up losing both of his summoners. But they do manage to get themselves away from that one, but they don't take down the tower. Like, this is the really important thing, is that teams at this phase of the game, they need to be focused on taking down objectives. And right now, apparently the objective is Renekton. He's going to be able to get himself over that wall with no difficulty. But I mean, just like that, we saw 2 towers fall down in favor of ggLA just within the last minute. vVv are going to have to start answering for this. They've already lost the gold lead. It's over in favor of ggLA right now as they lead by about 700 gold.
Yeah, and you kind of can't count out the fact that that dragon had been stolen away by the side of ggLA as well. So the dragons are even up at 1 apiece, and the towers are in favor of ggLA despite the kills and some of the farm counts not necessarily being on their side. We do have 149 compared to 130 CS in the AD carry department, but the mid lane matchup pretty much even, and the top lane matchup slightly in favor of ggLA. This, of course, is going to be in part to the fact that we had Kha'Zix going for a Tiamat build, but not a lot of armor penetration picked up until he just completed that Brutalizer now. That could be a testament as to why Get Snuggled is living a little bit longer, as he has pieces for his own Sunfire cape acquired in his inventory.
This is a pretty terrifying moment to be Renekton, to be perfectly honest. IKenyu is, I mean, he just hit his 2nd evolution, so now not only does he have like the murder bug claws, but he's also got the wings, so he's got extra movement on the jump, and if he picks up a kill, he gets a reset. He's able to reposition himself. Get Snuggled has not been having a good time with this one, and here's the on the hunt. Cake one more time on IKenyu.
The ward spots out Kenny coming into that brush, and they set it up perfectly. That is a bug trap right there. Kha'Zix goes down. The Oracle's elixir from Gotchu, not letting him get away with that invisibility either. Flame Trumpers go down from Otter. This is a 5v4 siege of a mid tower that's already taken a little bit of damage from the last time that the side of vVv showed their head in mid lane. Now they don't have the on the hunt available, so they're not going to be able to chase down through after the tower goes down. So this is going to be a siege that wants to take that building down and only get a fight if the side of that ggLA are the ones to force it, or if there's really a good command shockwave coming out from the side of Cheese Beluga. But this is the stalemate that ggLA can put down upon the side of vVv. They have the Gragas barrels, they have Jinx for some decent wave clear with their switcheroo. Once Fishbones comes out, there's a lot of AoE damage pocketing from that rocket launcher, and it's going to be a hard push for the side of vVv. The death timer is already gone. Kenny's coming back in, and Sicklecat decides to engage under the tower. Cataclysm locks up, only gets snuggled. Command Shockwave pulls back in ggLA. Hellbelter goes down, but iKennyU leaps into the backline. He gets chunked for his troubles, but Otter gets the passive pop as he shuts down Sivir, chasing down into the enemy team. iKennyU barely survives this one. Cheese Beluga gets hit once, twice, not going to be free. Otter has to back away from that one. Get snuggled, going to get Fishbone right here. Zap goes off. He gets the vision now. Otter gets snuggled. Flash forward. The Glitter Lance goes down. They're slowed. They're revealed. Is it going to pick up another kill? Switcheroo hands true. The dissonance slowing down Otter's passive, but he's still chasing through with that move speed. Now everybody from vVv is low. Barrier gets popped. Who does he want to go for? Can he get anybody? No, he cannot. The Super Mega Death Rocket not available to execute any other low members of the side of vVv, and ggLA turned that one around and set their sights on the tower.
It was so well played there by ggLA. It's so dangerous. vVv, they had to take so much time to get away from that one, because if Otter got any closer, if he got one more auto attack down, he would have been able to proc the passive. He would have been able to continue chasing down. He only got one passive proc, and then he got slowed up by the dissonance, and then we saw the strong disengage coming out there from Gachu. He was able to use that stun to just lock him up. But man, oh man, Otter, you ever have those moments where you're just looking at it going, man, I really wish I had access to my ultimate. I really wish this was on a cooldown right now, because that one Super Mega Death Rocket would have spelled so much death.
Oh man, well that's pretty much what it does spell there, and you gotta give a little bit of credit to Cheese Beluga though. Those clutch dissonances, even though Otter's passive gives him a ridiculous amount of move speed, I mean, let's not forget about it. It's 175% for 4 seconds. He slowed him down enough to make sure he didn't get those kills, and over this fight for Dragon, now it's the side of vVv that steal one for themselves. Cataclysm locks them up, and they're just kind of like, okay, we're just gonna wait here for a second. Flame Chompers go out, and oh, boom! In comes Pulbelter! Gachu gets knocked back into the enemy team. It's a 1-for-1 right now. Super Mega Death Rocket, it's available this time. He picks up the kill on that Sivir right there. No spell shield available, but now the Kitey from Cheese Beluga gets down ggLA very low, but he's gonna fall himself. iKennyU picks up a kill for himself. Depth Charge goes out from Nautilus, but it's not going to be enough to dissuade ggLA. They lose the Dragon and their jungler, but they pick up 3 kills.
Alright, so we saw in that situation they tried to do the same kind of steal with Pulbelter coming in over the wall and then using his combination, but the Dragon got pulled away from the barrel, so Pulbelter didn't use the ultimate. But then after that vVv, after the disengage, they all walked together in a big clump. And there's nothing Gragas likes to see more than just a big clump of the enemy team. He used a body slam to get himself right in the middle of the team. There was no cast animation whatsoever for that explosive cast. It just knocked everyone back. Gachu just got immediately erased. Otter was able to land the Super Mega Death Rocket, and then they were just able to chase through and pick things up with their superior mobility. Pulbelter, we should also point out, went with the body slam flash after that, which was a big part of what allowed them to continue that engagement. So Pulbelter wasn't able to steal away his second Dragon of the game, but he was able to punish vVv for picking that one up, as we see that they're in a situation now where it's a 2,500 gold advantage still in favor of ggLA.
Yeah, ggLA has gotten the gold advantage, and more importantly, they've had the objective control. More towers on their side than vVv, but now they've evened things up in the kill department as well. 13-13 looks dead on even, but like you touched upon, Malphus, the gold lead has swung a little bit in favor of ggLA after it had kind of been on the side of vVv for a decent portion of the game. Now with this forward pressure in the mid lane too, that second tier tower in mid lane is crucial because it gives up so much map advantage. vVv, they just want to keep going though. On the hunt they go. Depth Charge goes out to Pulbelter, but he body slams back to the safety of his own tower. Cheese Beluga not going to heed that safety though. Winds up picking up a kill, and Pulbelter pays for his life as Sicko Scott causes the Cataclysm all over Orianna. Gachu gets caught out as well, and Otter pops the passive, has a red buff now. That's dangerous. Zap winds up missing on the Get Snuggle, so they're not going to be able to continue this chase for now, but it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of ggLA.
So I'm looking at this fight, and I'm watching Gachu. And in my mind, like, okay, the support heart of hearts that I have is saying, oh, that was so brave. But then the rest of me is going, why would you flash into a Cataclysm? It doesn't make any sense. ggLA turning off the barrier, going to try to get initiation down. Gachu, you know, he'll go down in Brave Tarek that tried to take the drive in 1v1 inside the Rage Cage.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not a bruiser top tone Tarek, which is something that probably shouldn't even be mentioned, but he's unfortunately just a support tag. Actually, a flash forward from Porpoise Pot's guns, the Dredge line down onto Sicko Scott. The Wild Growth goes out from the side of Bunny Fufu, though, and it looks like vVv might want to try to chase down on this one. Sicko Scott's health bar isn't the highest in the world, but he is going to flag and drag himself to safety thanks to that blue buff right there. Jump away from Ikenny's Kha'Zix as well means that ggLA are going to be able to escape from this one, but by forcing them back now, vVv get a moment in time to push down this outer top tower and try to even things up a little bit more, taking a second tower of the game for themselves.
So right now, vVv need to play to their strengths. Their strengths right now are basically tails. That's the strongest thing that they have available to them right now. Is you see Pobelter's going on to get snuggled.
The Dominus winds up being popped out, gets snuggled, dropping down extremely low. Pobelter just kind of trading blows back and forth, but he realizes the cavalry's coming in, and Pobelter has to hightail it the heck out of there. vVv coming to the aid of their top laner and gets snuggled. Super Mega Death Rocket comes in, not gonna pick up a kill. Barely survives with a little bit of HP there, thanks to that Dominus ultimate. And Otter is going to be shaking his head about that one.
Yeah, Otter was very hopeful on that one, and it was really close. 170 health is all that was left on Renekton. But that's a skill that has an execution scaling. The lower you are, the more damage it does. So that 170 health can get chewed up really quick if it's like another 30 health on the other side of this one. Porpoise Pop trying to keep the tower alive, using as much CC as he can. Here comes the cavalry. How can he use jumps cancelled?
Oh man, the command shot wave goes off, but who's actually in favor here? The tower goes down, Otter kills that one, and they wind up chasing down onto Porpoise Pops here. Drops down extremely low. Cheese Beluga had to get the heck out of there as well, and ggLA are now turning the fight onto vVv. That is the 5th tower down on the map. Pobelter decides that he split push Gragas in the meantime, and now the composition from ggLA is spreading apart vVv. They're not letting them group up, and they're not letting them get into that giant clump of let's charge that they want to do.
This is a very difficult situation for the sides right now. For the side of vVv right now, Ikenny is in a pretty terrifying spot as he's got the Ravenous Hydra and the Brutalizer. He's moving in towards the Last Whisper. If he's able to complete that, I mean, even Renekton's armor count will be nowhere near enough. Like, even with the Sunfire Cape and the Ninja Tabby, that's not going to be anywhere near enough to stand up to to the Kha'Zix. And then there's just so much sustain coming up in this build. We've seen so many top laners have become so incredibly popular with builds like this one, or any, I mean, just basically any form of sustain. Ravenous Hydra is one of the more popular ones, like champions like Riven or Lee Sin. Now Kha'Zix is getting added into that list of melee top laners who just love building Ravenous Hydra and then just kind of running through people and sustaining through all their damage. Ikenny is an obscene split push threat right now, and he's got a lot of getaway juice too. If you do try to gank him, he's got the ult, he can go stealth, he can jump away from things over walls. He's pretty terrifying right now. You got to keep an eye on this Kha'Zix.
You hit the nail on the head right there, Malphus. Not only is there a lot of split push power on that Kha'Zix with the Ravenous Hydra, but the amount of DPS he could put down and the supplemental amount of damage he could get to cause those resets in teamfights is monumental. So he's not only the same Kha'Zix threat in teamfights he normally is, but if you leave him alone on the map, he will take a tower, he will build up a massive creep wave, and he will threaten an inhibitor as only one outer tower remains on the map for the side of vVv. They need to be able to react to that, but in doing so, they split apart their own composition. Their own split pusher in Renekton is 1, 5, and 3. He hasn't been able to get off the ground in this game as quickly or as big of an impact as they had wanted him to. They lose out on a dragon right here. This is actually the first dragon I think that hasn't been really hard contested since the first one, and there hasn't been like a smite or steal war over, as now ggLA, by taking that one and seeing how nonchalantly they were able to do it, have established the fact that this 3,000 gold lead, this 3 tower and 1 kill advantage are enough to say that they are decisively in control of this game for now.
I mean, this is interesting. We mentioned before the Tails a really scary person, and oh, this is an play from ggLA.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to wind up going in for this Baron attempt right here. The pink ward winds up going down a little bit late, but Bunny Fuku's Oracle's Elixir says that there's no wards available. vVv kind of knows something are up, but Pobelter is zoning them on the mid lane side of the mini-map. Baron Masher winds up going down in favor of ggLA with not a single contesting remark from vVv in this case. And after so many dragons were fought over, it's very awkward to see that Baron just go down for free to ggLA. That's how much map presence they've established. That's how important these Oracle's Elixirs and pink wards are coming out from the side of Bunny Fufu. And now vVv, they really can't charge headfirst into this one. They need to get a pick. They need to have a numbers game in this fight. Otherwise, it's going to be all ggLA with that Baron buff.
And Tails, you gotta be careful. You don't really want to stand that close to a Gragas. I mean, I guess he's got the spell shield, But still, that's kind of terrifying. As the side of ggLA, they're just going to group up, move down towards the bottom lane here. And this is a very difficult tower to hold, especially against a team composition like this one that has as much poke as they do, that has as much initiation potential as they do. This is more than a little terrifying. They need to be very, very careful about how they play this one if they think they can actually defend this.
Well, I mean, ggLA, we've already seen them be able to defend towers with this composition very effectively in the mid lane. Hint, it's still up after all this time. So now it's going to be turning that defense into offense and aggressing down on the last remaining outer tower from the side of vVv. Now, they couldn't take down outer towers as quickly as possible. Let's see if they're able to put up a staunch defense at this tower, whereas it's pretty much one of the things that you have to keep in mind. It's if this tower falls, then they are confined to the inside of their base. But if they lose the fight here, they could lose an inhibitor and maybe even the game. sicko Scott decides it's time to go in. He and iKennyU just leap into the back line. Pobelter picks up the first kill on the Porpoise Pop. KennyU's gonna go down the tails at the same time. Otter picks up a kill onto Get Snuggled. The tank is gone. The switcheroo is out. Cheese Beluga takes a rocket to the face right there. Zap goes down onto Godshu, as does the Command Protect Shield. They've traded 2 for 1 in favor of ggLA, and the siege of this tower is not yet complete, Malphus. Oh, Pobelter goes in, finds Tails, finds Gachu, 2 kills for Otter, double kill picked up for Jinx. Outer tower not going to be alive any longer as they charge down onto that inhibitor tower in the bottom lane. Cheese Beluga is at full HP, but I don't know how he's going to be able to defend the 4v1 situation. I guess he's going to have to flash away from sicko Scott. That's how it's going to happen. Tower damage comes in, sicko Scott drops low, but his teammates are going to help take down that tower, expose that inhibitor, and now with Porpoise Pods up, it's still a 4v2 situation. Home guard boots in from Nautilus make him scary looking enough to try to chase away ggLA, as now he's just getting kited away. He does wind up grabbing on the Pobelter though with a dredge line. Lots of damage coming in with that command dissonance here. Pobelter trying to body slam his way out of this one. A slow from the Golden Lance over the wall, Bunny Fufu. Dredge line does not connect, and it looks like it's just 2 towers and a lot of kills here for ggLA.
Yeah, sicko Scott just using, I mean, at that point, when they were going for the inhibitor tower, just trying to go in onto Cheese Beluga, whether he could get the pop-up and force him back out, it didn't really matter. He just needed to buy space. Because when Otter goes into the minigun form, he is a tower-killing machine at this point. He's got the Bloodthirster, he has the Last Whisper, he's going in for a Phantom Dancer as well. Ooh. And that's like our 18th pause of the game. This one coming out from the side of vVv.
Looked like that they are the ones being aggressive. They took the dragon. They wound up going into a lot of fights against the side of ggLA, and even though the Renekton pickup wasn't necessarily the best head-to-head matchup against this Kazakhstan top lane, they had the kills advantage and they had the gold lead. But ggLA, they held a staunch defense in mid lane. They stolen dragons away from vVv and just stolen the complete course of control of this game away from them.
Man, you know, we mentioned before that this is going to be an exciting game. It has not disappointed. This has been really, really back and forth. A lot of action going on here. ggLA, they do seem to have a handle on things right now. But I mean, oof. Yeah, this is... That's an Infinity Edge done. He decided not to complete the Phantasm, just went in for an Infinity Edge. I just saw that. Otter is kind of terrifying right now. With as much attack speed as he's going to get out of the minigun, if he's able to go into minigun stance and just right-click people down, they're going to die really, really fast. But even if he isn't able to do that and just goes into into the rocket launcher mode, he's still able to keep himself super safe. 700 range. He's raining in massive auto attacks and potential for even bigger crits. This is a really, really good spot for ggLA to be in. As once again they group up and they head down to the bottom lane, they're going to continue this split push pressure.
Well, Otter picks up that Infinity Edge, like you said, 9-1 and 4 on Jinx right now, just absolutely causing mayhem on Summoner's Rift, which is, well, pretty much what Jinx wants to do, I guess. But not a lot of armor had been picked up from this side of vVv. Renekton had a Sunfire Cape and Ninja Tabi, but he was the only one in doing so. Whereas on the flip side, Nautilus had yet to complete that Warden's Veil, which he does have now, or he had the Locket available, but that's only armor on himself. The targets that Otter has been picking up these kills and resets on his passive for, Tarek, who has an armor aura, which isn't the most in the world, and Sivir and Orianna, he's not all too worried about having to shred through any defenses of them, so why not just go for straight damage in that circumstance? Now the turn from vVv comes in, the Baron buff is gone. The Nautilus ultimate actually wound up getting disjointed, it looked like there, by iKennyU. Pobelter turns this around, Gachu goes down, good command shockwave comes out as Get Snuggle is in the backline, but so is iKennyU. SMD goes wide to the left and doesn't wind up finding a true target, but Get Snuggle goes forward and gets killed right there. It's a 2-for-0 trade in favor of the side of ggLA. That inhibitor in the bottom lane is open and that is going down. The health bars aren't so healthy from the side of ggLA, so they get that one and they back away from vVv's base.
I really don't know what to make of just happened to that Nautilus ultimate. I was under the impression that it could not be disjointed. I did not think that was capable of happening. But IKennyU, like when I saw IKennyU jump, I got really concerned. Now I'm getting very concerned for Porpoise Pops. And, oh!
Ooh, IKennyU drops down super low. She's Beluga with a surprise amount of burst damage right there. Secures a kill between himself and Porpoise Pops onto that very powerful Kha'Zix. Now Pobelter goes in, pushes Tails forward, and secures them the kill. Says, you know, we feel bad about that, but why don't you take that from us here? They are going to secure the Dragon for themselves, but maybe a little overconfidence from new ggLA as they give up 2 kills in doing so.
This is, yeah, you know, do we say back and forth yet to describe this game? I mean, it's just every time people are kind of giving up advantages and taking advantages, but overall it's coming out generally ahead for ggLA. And a lot of that is because of where these team fights are actually happening physically on the map. Like, generally speaking, when you fight on the opposing side of the map, you tend to come out a little bit further ahead because even if you fall behind in the fight, as long as it's not completely one-sided of a route or past like the 70-minute mark, it's very difficult for the opposing team to push through all the minions to actually push all the way down the lane and start picking up some of these objectives. So even if they do give up these kills, as long as ggLA are able to secure the objective first, then they're going to have a very good time. But as you see vVv, they're trying to get their 3rd tower of the game down. They will be able to claim this one up. But they're super cool. vVv are on a clock right now. ggLA can play this very patiently. They don't have to rush anything. And if they see Tails head down to the bottom lane, they might just rush in for the Baron, which is about to respawn in... now.
But they finally take down that last outer mid tower for the side on the side of ggLA, but that's a tower they've been poking at for 20 minutes. Pobelter! Oh, he body slams into a brush! That is not what you want to have happen to your burst damage. Flash away from Tails as IKennyU tries to jump on him. The On The Hunt has been popped, but now it's a 4v5 situation. And even though ggLA are so far ahead without Pobelter available, can they wind up taking this fight? What are they doing instead? They're running for vVv's base. They're trying to push them out of position, trying to take the Baron out of the possibilities here. Sicko Scott gets hooked up by a dredge line, flag and drag into a wall right there. It looks like they're just trying to stall right now. They're trying to group themselves back up together, and they're wasting time from the side of vVv, so they can't capitalize on that kill. Bunny Fufu and IKennyU might be the sacrificial lambs right here. Command Shockwave goes off. Looks like Bunny Fufu gives up his life. IKennyU got the ultimate. He jumped away. Can he get away, though, is the big question. Those spikes go down from him, trying to slow the chase efforts from the enemy team. The ball goes out. The command dissonance is up. And can IKennyU get away with those leaves coming out from Kha'Zix? It looks like he can get away. And even though Pobelter face checks a bush, they just lose one more, and they don't give up any pressure on the map.
That was really nicely played by ggLA. I mean, that was really nicely played. I mean, they took away one of the most important members of the side there by taking out that Gragas. I mean, they lost that big dispersal in the middle of the fight. They lost all the burst damage that Gragas offers. I mean, they were in a really bad spot as soon as they lost him. But because they just ran down the map, they applied pressure into a sensitive area of the map, because there are super kicks pushing down to that bottom lane. Like, you can't take any threat there lightly, or else you risk losing a Nexus tower. They had to chase that down and actually do something about it. And because they split up very nicely, Bunny Fufu and IKennyU microed that situation very, very carefully, and they were able to get IKennyU out of it. So Bunny Fufu is, you know, he's kind of a hero, you know, in the Yordle community.
Yeah, he definitely is. The Yordle that sacrificed himself for the greater good in that circumstance here. It's only 4 kills on him, as he actually doesn't have the most on his team. Unfortunately, well, that honor or dishonor might fall to Pobelter, as now he's wound up getting himself killed in 2 very unfortunate situations. But with a lot of itemization and gold in the side of ggLA's pockets, as well as an Elixir Fortitude picked up here for Otter, they are the ones that look to be a bit aggressive. There's a ward in that brush, a pink ward from the side of vVv, but they can't see that ward in the side from ggLA. Sicko Scott locks up the backline. Super Mega Death Rocket gets brushed off by the side and gets snuggled. Sicko Scott has to flash away with the Lulu ultimate on him. Now Pobelter's in a bad spot. Tails picks up a kill on Pobelter, and ggLA are falling apart to vVv at this point in time. IKennyU is not even in that fight. He's trying to get around the outside here, trying to get some damage down onto somebody, but there's no isolated targets. His damage output has been mitigated by a ton. Sicko Scott wants to try to help IKennyU in a big duel situation. The sustain coming out from Kha'Zix, trying to keep himself alive. The command Shockwave gets Otter in a situation where he picks up a kill on Tails. It's a double kill as Otter picks up a kill on Orianna. Now IKennyU still in a 1v3 situation. finally goes down to the members of vVv, but the Super Creeps are pushing down. Nexus Tower goes down. The remaining members of ggLA are stalling the recall or running into the base. Inhibitor has respawned for the time being, but this mid inhibitor is under threat by Otter and Bunny Fufu. Godshu comes in with the home guards from there. He's gonna save the inhibitor for now. Can they save the one being assaulted by super minions is another question, Malphus. But these fights, I think you could say it's a seesaw game after all.
This is just incredible. Sicko Scott was a little bit early on that initiation. Iron Pobelter wasn't able to get in range and capitalize on the small clump that was formed by that Jarvan ultimate. So they weren't really able to take advantage of that one. Pobelter tried. I mean, he did what he could to try to get into range, but he was just too far out. Kenny Yu, as you mentioned, wasn't there at the outset of that fight. But for a moment, it looked as though the extended nature of the fight was going to go in favor of vVv because of the move speed that they were able to get out of on the hunt. They're able to consistently reposition themselves for the entire duration of that ultimate and take control of team fights in that manner. But eventually it got to a point where people got too low and Otter started killing folks and started getting excited. And when Jinx starts getting excited, she runs around the map and she kills other folks. And at the end of it, if she's able to pick up that kill in the inhibitor tower, they were fortunate that they had people coming back up in time to get the home guard out and be able to stop this one out. But they're not fortunate that Tails is about to go down.
Oh, Tails just gets caught out and pulls a Pobelter in that circumstance. Their phase checks into a brush and gets obliterated by ggLA. Down goes the smite from Corpus Pops as well. So there is no smite steal available for the side of ggLA. Kenny smells blood though, or at least oil, as he jumps down to Orianna. He dodges the command shockwave. Baron goes down in the background, but that's not nearly as impressive. Double kill picked up by Kenny Yu as he chases down two of vVv. The GG comes out from Tails, the no surrender vote quite yet, as Kenny Yu says, you know what, we were in a 1v1 before, get snuggled, let's try to finish the game with a 1v1. Leads down onto Renekton. He's chasing out, gets the slow from his spikes. Kenny wanted turning this one around, stun under that remaining Nexus Tower. Super Mega Death Rocket with a smiley face to seal the deal. It's an ace, it's a 5-0, and ggLA, new roster and all, take the win over vVv.